Does testosterone make you aggressive? No, it's much better than that. The surprising truth about how this single hormone determines who you're attracted to, how you behave socially, and even how you vote. Today, we're exposing how T runs your life without you even knowing it. Imagine two identical men, the same upbringing, same education, same life experiences, but one consistently takes more risks, is more competitive, and leans politically conservative. The other is more cautious, more cooperative, and tends to have more liberal views. What's the difference? It might just be their hormonal makeup. Today, we're cutting through the misconceptions and looking at the hard science of how hormones, especially testosterone, influence who you are as a man. So let's start by busting the biggest myth about testosterone. Most people think of those out-of-control bodybuilders, roid raging because they have too much testosterone, making them excessively aggressive or dominant. Others claim it's the magic ingredient to success. The truth, though, is far more interesting and valuable. Testosterone doesn't just make you aggressive, it makes you more status-seeking, and that's a crucial difference. In some situations, status comes from cooperation and generosity, not aggression. A 2016 PNAS study on testosterone and status found that when men are given testosterone, they're actually more likely to reward fair offers in certain games. They'll punish unfair behavior, sure, but they'll also reward fair play. It's not about being a jerk or an asshole or getting super aggressive, it's about maintaining status and respect. But here's where it gets fascinating. A 2023 study on testosterone and strategic behavior showed that testosterone seems to reduce what researchers call strategic prosociality. In other words, men with higher testosterone are less likely to fake being nice just to look good when others are watching. They're more authentic for better or for worse. And I've personally definitely found this in my own life. You are way more assertive when you have higher testosterone. Now let's talk politics. This might challenge some assumptions, but the science suggests there's a relationship between testosterone and political views. A fascinating 2021 study on testosterone and political orientation found that Democrats with higher baseline testosterone levels were more likely to shift toward conservative viewpoints after receiving additional testosterone. Researchers called this the red shift. These weren't strong Democrats, but those with weaker party affiliation. After testosterone administration, these men showed a 12% decrease in their Democratic Party affiliation strength and reported 45% warmer feelings toward Republican candidates. Some studies have even linked physical markers of testosterone like upper body strength and facial width to height ratio to conservative political views. A 2018 report noted that strong, physically imposing men are statistically more likely to hold conservative views. Does this mean conservatives are somehow more manly than liberals? Well, probably not. That's a reductive oversimplification, but it does suggest our biology influences our worldview in ways we rarely consider. Here's where most people get it wrong. Testosterone doesn't have one simple effect. Its impact depends on your personality and the situation. For example, a 2018 study on testosterone and cooperation found that testosterone's effect on cooperation depended heavily on the individual's personality and time pressure. High-risk men showed reduced cooperation under forced delay when given testosterone. So it's not that high testosterone men are never prosocial, it's that their prosocial behavior is more selective and context dependent. They're more likely to be prosocial when it enhances their status. Now let's take a moment to consider women's experience because it reveals something fascinating about hormones and relates to dudes as well. Women who take hormonal birth control experience profound changes in their mate preferences, specifically around testosterone traits. Here's where it gets interesting. When on the pill, women's attraction to high testosterone features like strong jawlines and dominant behavior decreases. They tend to favor men displaying traits sometimes associated with, lower or more moderate testosterone levels. So things like stability, reliability, and balanced facial features. A 2014 PNAS study on hormonal contraceptives and marital satisfaction found something remarkable. When women who met their partners while they were on hormonal contraceptives stopped taking the pill, their satisfaction plummeted if their husband lacked masculine features. It's as if their hormonal reset suddenly made them more attuned to high testosterone traits they previously overlooked. This builds on a 2009 paper on contraceptives and mate choice, which found that hormonal contraceptives suppress the natural mid-cycle urge in preference for masculine, dominant traits associated with higher testosterone. This isn't just about attraction, it's about how hormones literally reprogram who we find appealing at a biological level, highlighting how powerfully testosterone-related traits factor into our most intimate choices. But testosterone isn't the only player. Your personality is influenced by a complex interplay of hormones. Dopamine drives novelty seeking and exploration, serotonin promotes social stability and tradition, while testosterone enhances analytical thinking and competitiveness. And estrogen, and as men we have it too, contributes to empathy and intuition. A 2020 piece from the University of Wollongong examined hormones like testosterone, oxytocin, dopamine, and cortisol against traits like agreeableness and impulsivity, suggesting a hormonal basis for personality differences. Dr. Helen Fisher's research on personality types even suggests we can categorize personalities by dominant hormones. So dopamine dominant people tend to be adventurous and creative. Serotonin dominant folks are likely calm, traditional, and social. Testosterone dominant individuals, like probably myself, are decisive and analytical, whereas estrogen dominant types are empathetic and intuitive. And at times in my life, I've been really high on estrogen due to supplementation side effects, let's say. And oh boy, I can tell you that affects your worldview. You cry at the drop of a hat at a commercial or something. It's absolutely silly. So I can definitely have some empathy for those estrogen dominant personalities. So what's the takeaway here? Understanding the hormonal influences on your behavior gives you more control, not less. So if you know that testosterone inclines you towards status-seeking behavior, you can be more mindful of when that's serving you and when it's not. Next time you're amped at the gym, check in with yourself and see if you're sizing up the room. Well, that could be the tea talking. And for me, that is 100% true. If you know hormones influence your political views, you might approach political discussions with more humility and less certainty that you've got it all figured out. And if you're considering hormone supplementation or testosterone replacement therapy, you should also be aware that you're not just changing your physique, you're potentially changing aspects of your personality as well. So does testosterone make you more aggressive? Well, no. The science is clear that it's much more sophisticated than that. It shapes who we are in more nuanced ways, influencing our authenticity, our social behavior, our mate selection, and even our political views. The surprising truth is that testosterone isn't just building your body, it's helping construct your reality. And that's far more interesting than the old stereotype. But knowledge is power. Understanding these hormonal influences doesn't reduce you to your biology, it gives you insight that most people lack. I find most people go through life completely unaware of the role of hormones. It's often reduced just to a punchline like, oh, it's, that's her hormones, or she sounds hormonal. I mean, it sounds just as trite for women as it is for men. Hormones play a foundational role in shaping who we are, our decisions, our attractions, and our worldview. So drop a comment below with your thoughts, and if you found this valuable, hit that subscribe button for more content that challenges conventional wisdom. Until next time, keep evolving.